Bong. Fossil fuels are no more in the British touring cars. Bong. Virtue are here. Bong. Media Day announced. And also all the rumours in between. This is the October News Catch-Up.
Hello and welcome back to the British Touring Car Podcast. We hope you are well. Season is at an end, but rumours are rife and there is plenty of news to keep you caught up with from October. We are at the start of November now, but we'll wind everything up from then.
Yep, obviously we're also at the end of the season budget, so we couldn't afford the real bongs of Big Ben, so hopefully the ones you heard were convincing. Sam, obviously you joined me once again on a sofa of some description. How are you? Are you missing the racing action?
I'm glad we've still got some F1 to watch, because I do miss the racing in an off-season.
It helps the F1 is still vaguely on a knife edge. I mean, it's not really, but it's vaguely possible that there might be something that happens. But yeah.
But yeah, not doing too badly, and quite relatively excited about the news that's been released in the touring cars as well. I think there are 3 different levels. One doesn't really matter too much. It just happens. One is a little more exciting, and then the main one of obviously release dates for Media Day for next season, which we always look forward to.
Yeah, we'll also do a little bit of speculation. There's some stuff we do know, some stuff we think we know, and some stuff that is outrageous, but we'll talk about it anyway. Silly season is in full effect. So we'll start off with what we do know, which will be the news section of the pod. And there's sort of 3 bits of news, as you alluded to there. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, so we'll start with the earliest piece, which was Bristol Street Motors announcing that their new name, basically going forward for the season, will be Team Virtue. Obviously, Virtue were fairly closely associated with the naming of the Minis last season, and closely associated with Bristol Street Motors. Shortening the name, I think it will help us next season. Rather than going Bristol Street Motors, it is just Team Virtue. I think it's nice and snappier.
You say that. Let's see what they come out with. It will be Team Dynamics running extra fuel with Team... Yeah.
You're not too keen on the proposed livery, are you? It's a very early livery release, if this is the confirmed one.
I hope it's not the confirmed, because it reminds me of Elmer the Elephant. It's very patchwork, and I think the 2 blues clash horrifically. I don't think they go with the reddy orange either, if I'm honest with you.
I think it's going to be one of those that will look better in the flesh.
I'm convinced at all. I think go with one of the blues, not with both of the blues.
Yeah.
Personally, I mean, obviously it's very early, and I'll be surprised if that is the final livery. To be honest with you, but
yeah, because there aren't many other sponsorships on there,
no.
Apart from obviously Ingram's Hansford Sensors. We'll see how it rolls out. But along with that, they also announced that both Ingram and Chilton would be frontlining that team going forward in 2025.
However, budget cuts are still affecting teams because they couldn't afford an iron for the shirts that were used in the media release photos. I've never seen more creased shirts in my life on both of the Toms. It's
it's not the best look, is it?
There's a few things to iron out for the next season.
In these scummy white trainers as well.
Yeah, that's it. And that shirt with more creases in than something that's creased. I don't know. What is creased? I don't know. That shirt. But yeah, as I say, both Toms back. That's no great surprise. I think when we did the Driver Grades podcast, we both felt that both the Toms would be back. I'm slightly surprised maybe at Chilton is back, given what we discussed on the season review, where we said that Tom needs an ally basically next season. I'm still not convinced Tom Chilton will be that ally.
But we did also caveat that with, if he wants to be back, Chilton will be back because he's got the money, he's got the sponsorship, he needs to run. And you kind of know what you're going to get with him as well.
While we're on this particular team, there's a few rumours that are flying, rumours and facts that are flying around. So it seems that Dan Zelos has been testing the i30, and he has also said that he's got real hopes that he'll be on the British Touring Car grid next season. I think those hopes are shared with practically every fan and person associated with the touring cars, because he certainly took the 3 rounds he did by storm at the end of last season.
Yeah, he did. I certainly hope that he does get that opportunity. Unfortunately, I do think it eventually comes down to sponsorship, as a lot of the drives do.
Although there's potentially with the Virtue sponsorship less money to have to bring to the table, potentially.
Yep.
The other thing to say is that there is also rumours that we might see 6 Hyundais on the grid next year, with Team Dynamics running 2 in sort of umbrella-y terms. There's been rumours that a certain mechanic has been seen around Team Dynamics headquarters as well, which I would imagine might be a certain Barry Plowman, potentially.
Yeah, well, we know he was there helping Chilton out last season and being his engineer most weekends.
No, he moved to Chris. Did he move to Chris Smiley towards the end of the season?
He chopped and changed
I
it.
can't remember. I know Matt Neal's a Chris Smiley.
Wherever he is wanted, he normally goes, and there is normally an upturn in driver's form when he's there. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any relationship there going forward.
I think that covers off the Hyundai team. They've been sort of the most vocal, the quickest to sort of get some affairs in order for next season. This is the next piece of news is a bit of a shocker, really. I mean, having spent so much money to get hybrid into the sport, and having finally got it right, and they did get it right. We've been through my, we've been through my sort of feelings on this.
Yep.
But they did get it right. Hybrid is going, and we're going to have biofuel instead.
When you messaged me that one morning this week just gone, I was like, well, what, going completely out the door? And then you mentioned the money side of things. I thought, yeah, that makes a little more sense now.
I think that is the biggest reason why it's gone out for.
Yeah.
And that's not what's been said in the press releases, I'm going to go beyond what the press releases say. I think that having spoken to a few people in the paddock and in the know, the system allegedly costs somewhere, let's say 200 upwards. That's 200, not 200 pounds, 200,000 upwards, which in a cost-cutting era is a lot of money to find. And you've got no choice. You have to have the hybrid in the car.
Yeah.
Added to that as well, and I think this is part of the problem, again, not in the press release, it's been quite unreliable. Lots of cars have been able to run it properly, or it's not kicked in, and for no apparent reason either.
I think there was more reliability this season.
There was.
Being its second season in the sport. But we saw Darrell de Leon running the 100% sustainable fuel in the last 2 rounds at Silverstone and at Brands Hatch.
Yep.
The car was able to be competitive as we would expect that car to
Certainly
be.
at Brands. Not so much Silverstone.
There didn't seem to be too much of a drop-off in that performance, and they've gone on to say that the test and development programme have been completed successfully.
Yep.
I'm assuming that the only testing and development might have been that. I don't know whether there was anything done outside of that at test days. But in a race format, it seems to have worked.
If there was, they've not made that particularly public.
No, they haven't.
So there'll be a turbo boost deployment system rather than the old hybrid, rather than the hybrid we've had, sorry. So one would assume that would be a little bit cheaper to run, potentially, hopefully, maybe.
Possibly. One thing that it does change is also the weight of the cars as well.
Yes.
So we're looking for cars to be, they say, around about 55 kilos lighter, and therefore hopefully a little bit more nimble. I don't think the weight was ever a problem because it was fairly uniform across the whole grid. So apart from lap times maybe getting a little bit quicker because of it, although then you've got the payoff of not having the hybrid boost, it really depends on what that turbo boost is going to give them next season.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if we return to a ballast in time, because I know they'll say that effectively the turbo boost replaces the hybrid boost, but if the car's being lighter, etc., I wonder if we might see ballast brought back in.
Yep.
In the future. I mean, look, everything's got to go to sustainability. We know this, and I'm going to come out and say I don't want to see the sport go electric. If I'm honest with you, so I'd much rather see this side of things go to more sustainable fuel. I've got nothing against electric racing per se, but I don't want this series to become an electric series.
No.
So I'm happy, but I do think that it's a bit of a waste of potential for the hybrid. And added to that, it's not the best of looks for the sport, having invested so heavily in it. They were the leaders of it.
Yeah.
However, I think they were one of the final ones with it, because obviously Rally dropped it earlier this year.
Yeah, they were dropping it for next season going ahead, but they announced that before the start of this current season. I think with F1 being the top echelon of motorsport, we're seeing them run, yes, some hybrid systems there, but overall their aim is to not have that go electric at all. That's why there is Formula E.
Yeah.
If there wants to come along and be a sustainable, or outwardly sustainable, electric saloon car championship, for example, I think it could run quite easily side by side.
There is, it's called Scale Electrics.
It could run quite easily side by side, but going down this fossil free, you still get that almost purity that us racers and us motorsport fans like. When you get to hear the engines, you get to smell the cars. It's all part of that program and that performance.
What I will say is I hope that the inaugural year is more successful than Hybrid's debut season, because
it could feel like a step back.
It could, and given that it's a sport that needs to be a bit less tin pot and more tin top at times, if we have another season that's sort of absolutely sort of swayed with instability, unreliability, having had all this with the hybrid already.
Do you know what? In the statement that Alan Gow's made, what I find really quite interesting is he goes on. He says the hybrid era was a great one for the BTCC.
It wasn't. It was mixed.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that point. 6 years ago, when we first announced hybrid, it was technology.
6.
Yeah, first announced.
I was going to say.
It was technology still in its relative infancy within most sport. We've successfully completed that program and really have no more to prove in that respect, whilst others have yet to catch up. I think that's a really interesting turn of phrase, because I wouldn't say it's completed. I would say that there are still many permutations that could be explored with it. There are many different ways that it could be used, and to not to alter the way that we go racing, but to offer more opportunities.
Yeah, so regular listeners will know I like a football sort of parallel where I can.
Yes.
I think we can all agree, neither of us support this team I'm about to mention, but Pep Guardiola at Manchester City has, you could argue, completed football in a way. Yeah. But every year he looks at a new way of doing something. Yeah. No matter how good it's been before. I don't understand that as a sentiment. F1's been good for a while. This season in particular has been really good.
F1 have gone through many different generations of how hybrid and kinetic energy recovery systems have been working, how now they have hybrid turbos, hybrid systems and stuff like that. I don't think you can ever say it's completed, because technology is always moving forward. Yeah,
and just because something's been good, you don't go, that's good, let's end it there. You go, that's good.
We've completed it now, on to the next one.
Let's just cancel touring cars, because it's been a good run since the 60s, you know. It's
a bizarre turn of phrase, and I'm not sure hybrid era being a great one is a particularly accurate statement.
My honest opinion is that I think there'll be people that don't want to admit publicly that it's failed is perhaps too harsh, but it's not worked how they'd hoped it would. And I think that they are now trying. I think they're now trying to bury it in a more dignified way than perhaps the feelings towards it are behind closed doors.
Yeah.
But that's the fuel side of things done then. Let's get on to getting into the action for next year. So we have had...
Just before we do that, I would like to know, or I would like to read people's thoughts on hybrid, whether this is a good move going forward, or whether it is going to be possibly a step back. Obviously, we won't fully know until we get to what we're about to go on to the next, and test days next season, and how the cars are going to play out through next season as well. But I would really like to know people's forethoughts on it.
Absolutely. We did put a little post up on social media about that. A lot of people have raised the cost issues during that, which I think that's going to be a fairly large part of this. But let's move on to more stuff that we do know.
Yep.
And it feels a long way away, but we have got some pre-season dates rather to put into our calendars for 2025.
Yeah. So there are one pre-season test or two pre-season test days across the weekend. No, it might be midweek actually. 1st and 2nd of April up at Croft. You'll be able to go and have free entry, which is always nice. Drinks and refreshments made available. To go and watch the touring cars basically get their boots on and get back in the flow of things before, obviously, you've got a media day at Donington Park, the same as which we had last year on the 15th of April, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Yeah, we'll obviously be aiming to go again this year. It's a nice little day out, shall we say? Yeah,
it is. Hopefully we get decent weather as well. Better than we did for Donington round 1 last season, or this season just gone. But it's always good to see how many drivers are going to be there, first of all.
Yep.
what cars are going to be there, whether there's going to be any changes. Obviously, the changes in the liveries, part of which we already know, and whether we'll have more than 20 cars.
Well, let's get on to some speculation. So let's see what we do know. We know that both Toms are back at Hyundai.
Yes.
We know Sutton and Camish are back for half of the roster at Napa. They've got multi-year deals. Aaron Taylor-Smith has announced he's back at PMR on his social media, that he's got bits and pieces ahead of time there. Yep. And allegedly, Dick Bennett has confirmed that BMW will have 4 cars on the grid and only 2 of the current roster will be back. The understanding is that Adam Morgan probably won't be back due to budgetary issues.
Yep.
And it's understood that we will see WSR run 2 cars and then Laser Tools expand to a 2-car team. Now we can get into the speculation. The obvious candidate for that second car with BMW would be Watson, given that he's a MB Motorsport driver. Yeah. However, there is rumours he's going back to the GTs after a fairly unsuccessful spell at Toyota.
I find that slightly bizarre.
I do, and I would struggle to see who Hill's teammate would be if it wasn't Watson.
Yeah, the only driver that I can put forward for that area is Bobby. Then depending, obviously, who goes into that other WSR seat.
And funding.
And funding, yes. But
because Barney the dinosaur could only fund one weekend, it turned out.
Yeah. But obviously, Bobby has had some sort of knowledge, having previously been at Trade Price Cars. I think just on that sort of like crossover period where Blundell came in, then worked with Jake Hill. So there may be something in there that a relationship can form back up.
Yeah, quite possibly. We believe that Unlimited Motorsport will be going to 2 cars next season.
Yes, yeah.
Dexter Patterson has been testing that car. There's no denying that. His name's been all over it with sponsors.
His name certainly has been all over, and his number.
Yep, and some sponsors that weren't on the car last season. So I think
it's feeling a bit of a shoe-in, isn't it?
It is indeed. It'd be good to have him back because, as we all know, there is a racer in there. It'd be good to have some youth back on the grid.
I must admit, I haven't looked into how he raced last season in the formula that he was in or how well he did, but the suggestion that he wants to come back this soon is quite positive, obviously, for the touring cars, because he had a good showing while he was at Laser Tools.
Team Hard.
And Team Hard.
Was it? Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yes, no, there was a... Yes, sorry, yeah. Yeah, apologies.
Kind of wiped Team Hard from my mind, actually. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that all pans out.
Yep.
And then the other driver is Pearson.
Not at Unlimited.
Not at Unlimited, but he has been testing.
Allegedly, not confirmed, but allegedly been testing one of the Toyotas. Which would make sense because I don't think that the 4 that finished will be the 4 that start their next season. I think Watson will either be at BMW or nowhere, personally. Yep. Moffat, I really don't know.
Well, we're all still a little bit up in the air with the partnership that looks like it's coming together with LKQ and MB Motorsport.
Yep.
Whether we could see a lot of sponsor changes going on throughout the grid, not just driver moves and car changes.
Absolutely. I'm just trying to find an article about it, but I can't find the article now because obviously not. I'm looking for it in real time.
We'd love to hear if you have any information, first of all, because we have had a message notifying us of these testing days that drivers have had.
Yep.
So if you do have any information out there, we'd love to hear it. We'd love to stoke the fire on some of the rumours, even if they may not come true by the start of next season. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on where you think drivers are going to be, whether we're going to have an extra team or 2 on the grid. Gal has already made it apparent earlier on in the season that he'd like to go up to possibly a 24, 26 car grid again.
And I found the article I was looking for.
Excellent.
The BTC have confirmed that 4 token licenses will be available for the 2025 season.
Yep.
Potentially for a pair of 2 car teams with a grid likely to be capped at 24.
Okay.
However, if viable teams came forward, it's possibility that a 26 car grid would be considered. There's also some chatter about PMR looking to run 3 cars. Again, we'll see how that runs.
A lot of people, before obviously we knew about Pearson testing in a Toyota, were suggesting that he could be a 3rd driver for that team.
Yeah, there's also been some suggestion that he'll be at BMW. I'm just going to say I don't think so off the top of my head, off that.
Someone on Twitter or on Facebook had already
no.
confirmed that probably wasn't going to be happening as well.
Absolutely. In terms of other bits and pieces, Jake Hill is expected to be back at WSL, but not confirmed. He wants to be back, but again, that will come down to sponsorship. And then we go into the rumour mill itself. Obviously, looking at Napa, you'd imagine that both Rowbottom and Oswald will be back. And obviously, at this point, Dan Rowbottom is having some open heart surgery in the off-season, so we take the time of the minute just to wish him a speedy and quick and safe recovery.
Yeah, send any questions to him because he's doing plenty of TikToks while he's in his recovery. It looks like it's going to be round about 8 to 10 weeks before he can actually get back to some sort of full fitness.
Yeah, so there is it sounds trite to put business back on it, but there'll be a potential question mark if he's fit to race for the start of the season.
Yeah.
Hopefully, of course, that he is. Sam Osborne spent the second half of the season working with Rory Butcher and did improve, so you'd imagine he'd also be back at the team next year. Chris Smiley, I think, will be at Restart.
Yeah.
There is some suggestions that Scott Sumpton owns his Cupra, so it might be that he makes a sale and moves on, or he takes the Cupra with him and starts his own team. That seems unlikely.
It seems unlikely, yes. Is it a prime opportunity to sell that car to Dexter Patterson?
Possibly. The other one is Rob Huff, who is admitted that the touring cars is a bit of a project, but he has had a bit of a jaunt to the TCR World Tour. So it could be that possibly, maybe, he moves across there. Well, don't forget that the whole package around that is changing going into next year.
Yeah.
I think he'll stay in the touring cars, but
so do I.
He wasn't complimentary about the tour towards the end of the season. Of course, if he looks to leave Toyota, where's he? I mean, BMW potentially would be a match made in heaven. But
you want to shoe him in there, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I'm just reading from a touring car magazine article. I do love some of the wild rumours that are coming around. So, some of the people are suggesting that Dick Bennett will be selling Dick WSR. No. Carl Bordley will be starting a 2-car touring car team, but operating as a team owner. No, I don't think so.
I think that has more legs in it than Dick Bennett selling WSR, but go on.
Nick Halstead will buy out Toka. And we'll have, presumably replace it with crazy carts rather than touring cars. And William Story will return as the owner, a team owner of 2 Honda Civics, which potentially I don't think so either. Okay. Just mentioned TCR there. It is making the switch to BRAC for next season, which will be running under the same sanctions as Toka. So it potentially becomes a bit more of a feeder series for the touring cars. Potentially you could see Huff brought in there as a little bit of a glamour headline driver. I don't see it myself, but
I think if it gets, as we know, it's already getting brought onto the Bark package. You're going to need some sort of headline to draw the fans, because I think if you do that, you can then put your ticket prices up, and then it becomes a little more profitable and a little more or easier to run on that package. But it'll be interesting to see what other competitions and classes go along with that Bark weekend package.
Absolutely. There's a lot more to come out. We will probably do a November roundup depending on what happens between now and the end of November.
Yep. We'll
obviously have a Christmas one as we always do. We've got the award ceremony to come up at some point as well. Any final thoughts from yourself on this pod? I don't think we've missed any rumours that I could think of. Obviously, I mean, you can start with a rumour you want, to be fair. But, yeah.
I want to see Dave Peatney back.
Yeah, the rumours are that Andrew Jordan's going to come back to the series.
Oh, I think he has burnt all of those bridges and then burnt the ashes again for coming back to the touring cars. But
if he didn't
stranger things have happened.
If he didn't burn them, someone else certainly did. But yeah, I don't think we'll be seeing him next season. I don't think we'll be seeing any new cars on the grid unless we get a new team either.
No.
Napa will have a new one for 26, of course, all being well. Cool. I think that rounds up the news and rumour mill section.
Certainly does.
Enjoy the rest of the off-season. I know it feels long and drawn out, but we will get back to racing soon. Sam, thank you for joining me, and we'll speak to you next time.
You too. See you soon.